Questions about what police can do with your internet search history. And careful with what you share on Facebook. The site may take issue with articles you post. Here to break down these stories is cybersecurity expert and tech lawyer Leeza Garber. Leeza, welcome back to the National Desk.
Good morning. Great to see you.
Well, I want to start with this case. Back in August of 2020, a house fire killed 5 people in Denver, Colorado. I was living and working there at the time. I covered the story extensively, and it was interesting because it took a while to name suspects in the case. During the course of that investigation, police asked for and received a warrant for Google search records for people in the area, looking for anyone that had searched for the word arson. It narrowed down the search to 3 teenagers, 1 confessed. Now, the tactic of that keyword warrant, it's become a lightning rod of controversy. Leeza, can you explain the tactic and what could happen next?
Thank you so much for your coverage of that case. It's extremely important. And the term we're looking for here is a search term order. It's basically a pretty broad warrant. It's a technique that's been used by law enforcement for a couple of years now. It's pretty secretive. A lot of the records where this type of warrant has been used have been kept under seal. There have been a couple public cases that have come to light. And right now, the results of that type of warrant are being challenged because it's seen as extremely broad. In the case that we're discussing, they looked for whether arson was searched. They looked for the home address where the fire took place was searched, and came to 3 subjects who were identified and then charged with murder and a variety of other issues. But the problem here is that it's really a type of warrant with results that you couldn't see from anything else because you're looking at what people are searching. You have no idea who you're targeting, but it's just broad search terms. Google can fight these types of requests, but it's based on what their own arguments are.
Well, some would say that this type of investigation is just good modern police work. Instead, it's turned into a constitutional law case. How does the First Amendment fit into all of this?
Tech has really changed how police conduct investigations, but what's important here is there are a few key constitutional issues at stake. We have the First Amendment could have a chilling effect on free speech. Google is obviously, when we search for things, it can be very private. It might be things we don't even share with our spouse or a healthcare professional or a priest. And then in addition, it's a Fourth Amendment issue against unreasonable search, right? Because if they are conducting searches based on simple terms that you're typing into Google or any other search engine, it's extremely broad. It's a contentious issue for privacy professionals under the First and Fourth Amendments, and this is the first time it's come up in court. We will see how this plays out. It's really important for the state of privacy in this country.
Let's switch gears now and talk about Facebook. Earlier this year, the tech giant settled a $90 million class action lawsuit over privacy concerns with the site. Big defeat for Meta. However, it's now being reported that Facebook is stifling or blocking users from sharing the news of the settlement. What's going on in Silicon Valley? And is this more of a big tech going power crazy?
The case itself, this $90 million settlement, dates back through a 10-year saga in the courts. And Facebook settled. They said that the issue was with trackers after you logged out of your Facebook account, tracking what you were doing on other websites. So if you were a Facebook user back in 2010 or 2011, you should check and see if you are entitled to any part of this $90 million settlement, which once it's finalized could be the 7th largest privacy class action settlement in the United States. Pretty big deal. The question here was whether Facebook was actually suppressing links to the official class action website where you could pursue a claim. And over the past week, we've heard reports that it was blocking these as spam or saying that the links were broken in some way. I've had conflicting reports about whether that's still happening now, but the question is, what is Facebook telling us we're allowed to post and not? And really it goes back to the terms of use and their different policies on spam, on bullying, on hate speech, on misinformation. All of our social media platforms have a little bit different policies related to what we're allowed to post. It's fascinating in this case if they were attempting to suppress information on a class action that was negative for them, but we'll see what happens in the future.
So then is Meta within its rights to stop these articles from being spread, or are they setting themselves up for even more legal action?
If they were in fact suppressing this link, it certainly is problematic, and it sets a bad precedent for themselves as this wide-ranging social media platform. But inherently, they're a private company and they're allowed to do as they choose in this respect. They really, according to the FTC, have to follow the policies that they set for their users. But if they have some argument saying that they thought it was spam or they thought it was a malicious link or disinformation, that's one argument. It really wouldn't look good for their public reputation. But inherently, we have to remember these platforms are private companies.
Fascinating discussion this morning. Leeza Garber, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.